Uh, Fatima, thank you for your time today. I wanna quickly dive into everything you're doing with the WPBA, but before we do that, I want to hear about your story. As far as basketball, like talk about how basketball shaped your path, and even more so, like some of the lessons that you learned from the game and how it applies to entrepreneurship today.
Oh my God, that is a great question. I mean, to be completely honest, I always go back to this one time when I was, growing up. Family was living in a homeless shelter at the time, and you know, we were going through it. But during the winter break, the Golden State Warriors, they gave all of the kids in the shelter scholarships to be able to go ahead and attend their camp that week. So for that week, I just got to be a basketball player. I didn't have to go through this hardship of, what I was experiencing, while being in this situation. And I just got so much out of that week. Like it really filled my cup, and it really helped me to realize and put things into perspective at a young age that, if I was able to put the time and energy into something that I wanted, I was able to really, get what I needed out of that experience, but also having people in that time pour into me and just remind me of what my power was or is, like it was so important. So whenever I was going through like the rest of life, like I knew I wanted to be able to be a pro basketball player. I knew that there was something higher. I had a higher calling, and I was meant for bigger things. So it just really helped to put things into perspective for me at that time. And just throughout my life, I always kept that, near and dear to me when I was going through, becoming a pro athlete and, now becoming an entrepreneur. Like, I understand that there's always going to be hard days, but, you know, when you are called to do something and you're living within your purpose, like there's going to be adversity in these challenges, but you have to look beyond what it is that you're experiencing and understand like there's always that bigger picture, and you're there to support the people, the community, and that's kind of just why I do the work that I do now. So I love this game. I give full credit to this game and to the life lessons that I've been able to learn by being able to play this game, to the community that I've been able to create from playing this game. But this is a beautiful sport to be a part of, and it's only helping me get better, not only from being a player, but now being an entrepreneur and just really being able to lead by example.
I love it. I love it. That's beautiful. And obviously, there's a lot of parallels with sports and entrepreneurship. What was the moment when you realized you wanted to extend, what you were doing on the court to the business world and start your own league, your own business? Like, what was that moment for you?
Wow, man. I mean, to be completely honest, like I wasn't highly recruited, at the college level or even the pro level. So I really had to really be a student of the game. But I I really had to understand that like there wasn't really a space for players like myself to be able to get that extra development. And even at that time, like even just the extra development, but there really weren't that many spaces for, athletes to be able to go and play basketball, women athletes to be able to go and play basketball beyond, the W or overseas. So by the time my fifth year of playing professionally, I was just like, we still don't have this. Um, I've played against some amazing players during my off season that helped prepare me for my moments with getting over, getting ready for my next upcoming season. And I'm just like, we need this. Like the men have it, the women don't. How can I now create something that I envision to be a perfect mixture of what the women at this time and the next generation of athletes are definitely going to be able to use to be able to help them move forward in their careers. And I'm in Mexico at the time. I prayed on it, and the name of the league came into my mind. And then I'm, going and registering the business, and I'm looking at, if the domain is available. So everything is just kind of like the boxes are, being checked off and everything is in alignment. So I'm just like, this is a real thing. And, you know, I've been in some really great situations playing overseas. I've been in some, not so great situations playing overseas. And I really had to be intentional about like, what kind of space do I want to, cultivate that is really going to be of true value and impact here in the community. And that's how the Women's Premier Basketball Association, came about. Um, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I just knew that there was a problem and I just wanted to create a solution um, in being able to help, move the game forward. So it started that first year, with being able to receive a grant and really being able to bring my vision to life. And I had the right people, at the time with me, helping me to be able to build out this vision. But, the players, the community, they stepped up big and, they were able to really buy into what was being created. And at that point, we start to see, we're getting players opportunities to play overseas. We're getting, coaches on, certain overseas opportunities. The officials within our organization, they're now moving up into the G League or getting opportunities to ref at the NBA or WNBA level. So, from that point, I'm like, this can continue to execute so that you are doing what you can to, move the needle forward.
Yeah, and I know we kind of skipped over a little bit, but explain for a listener who might not know what the league is about and what you all are building from a high level, like what is the WPBA and what problem are you all really trying to solve here?
Absolutely. So the Women's Premier Basketball Association, the WPBA, we're the leading development league for women's basketball. Our vision is to be the best development league in the world that is helping to place players in the WNBA or these other top tier leagues around the world. Stepping in and being that G League in a sense. We have 8 teams. We play at one central location here in the Bay Area. We have 96 players total within our organization, which is 12 players per roster. And just looking at the basketball landscape, the ecosystem right now, like we see that there aren't enough spots in the WNBA. So let's create a space where these players and the rest of the folks in this ecosystem can develop, so that when an opportunity does become available, they're going to be in the best position possible to be able to execute and build that longevity within their career.
And obviously, like we're seeing this big surgence around women's sports all over the globe. There's a lot of activity, a lot of investor interest. Talk about how that timing, because obviously, I would even say you all had the foresight. You've been around for 4 years now, correct?
Yeah.
Talk about the timing right now in this day and age, how that has helped the league in terms of gaining more traction and attention.
Oh my God. Like, it's been huge because I think up until even last year, like no one really took emerging leagues that seriously until we've seen the success of what Unrivaled has been able to do, or, Athletes Unlimited, and now, the Project B. So now everyone's now starting to take an even deeper look at, okay, women's sports, especially women's basketball, like this is a great product that is a great investment opportunity for those, because we're still very early, and you're now starting to see a lot of the folks in this space that have been, first movers being rewarded in the right way for, going ahead and supporting these ideas of innovation around women's basketball. So with us being in this space since 2022, like it's it's been great with what's going on, this year with all the attention, because we've been able to create traction without any real, meaningful capital behind this league yet. So, the demand is there. We've been validated by, the basketball, world, and just the demand of it. But I'm really excited for where this game's going, and excited to see that more people are now looking to bet on women's sports and just bet on women. So I'm excited to see the trajectory of, where, women's sports is going as we move forward.
How do you think about sustainability? Because to your point, you're very early. This is a long-term play, and when you start a league, obviously there can be a lot of hype and early traction. But how do you think about the strategy long term in terms of sustaining and building something that can last, let's say, 50 years and be a mainstay in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, like the sustainability piece, especially when it comes to the WPBA, being able to show that, you don't need to really travel to all of these different places to, experience basketball. Like you can play at one central location. And that's what we do. We have 8 teams that play at one central location throughout a 10-week season, so that we're able to really lock in on that fan base there and just build that level of community, and looking at the sustainability, like we're able to show success here in one, the top women's sports market, nationally, this year, that has just been talked about. And then two, like whenever we're ready to go ahead and replicate this model, because we do see ourselves expanding by 2030 to 4 different cities, like we've been able to take care of home and show that this is a product that is scalable and sustainable. So yeah, I think, with what we're building, it's very forward thinking. It's we've just been very, how can I say this? I'm sorry, I'm like, the word is,
But
elusive. Yeah,
scrappy.
we've been happy. Like all of this has been bootstrapped up until
Yeah,
this point. But we've been, just very intentional about how we're building and making sure we're not doing too much in the beginning. We're making sure that we're building the right way so that our investors have the utmost trust in how we're moving forward with this league.
yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing because obviously when you don't have cap, like building a league from the ground up is no easy feat. I've talked to a number of different people who are attempting this, and I think given that you started 4 years ago, you're still going. Like I said, early days, but you've been able to gain so much traction without having a lot of capital, and that's super impressive. But when you think about um, the kind of the fan engagement, the platform that you're building for the fans. Like, how do you think about build like continuing to build that traction, engaging fans, and bringing them into that ecosystem to you know catapult the league to the next heights or the new heights?
I mean, that is definitely like at the core of what we're looking to do as we move forward, because again, like the players are what make the league. The players are what, create the fandom around the league, and making sure we have that top tier fan experience is what's going to be able to help us with the longevity of making sure that the league continues to move forward. So, we're working with a few companies right now to be able to really help us identify who our audience is and how to make sure we're keeping them engaged as much as possible. Like we're working with, Thumbo right now. They're currently working with Unrivaled, and they've done such a phenomenal job in helping them, one, understand their audience, but making sure that they're putting them in positions to be able to continue grow what their product is.
Mhm.
And we're hoping that they will do that with us as well. So we're super excited about that. And then, from a cultural perspective, like we're getting ready to partner with the Sports Bra, and you see what they've been able to do in this space with being able to spotlight, women's sports, from a global level. So really being able to key in on those things and making sure we are, giving our fans the best experience possible, especially when it comes to being able to connect with fans. I'm not fans, but connecting with our players, and just learning more about them, especially when it comes to media and storytelling, like being able to key in on all of those specific pieces, so that we're able to grow our fan attendance from that perspective.
What's been the hardest part about building this league? As I mentioned before, like I've talked to a number of different people who are building leagues, and everyone has their specific hurdles and things that they have to go through in order to continue scaling, continue growing their product. What would you say has been the most challenging aspect about it for you?
Raising capital, to be completely honest. I mean, like, I've played 8 years pro. I played for the Jamaican national team. So, like, being able to get the respect of other basketball like-minded folks in this space hasn't been that hard. But again, like I've been running this business remote up until like this last season. Like I've been overseas doing, everything business wise. So like with me now being here, it's allowed me to be in certain rooms with these folks and be able to show that, I'm continuously showing up, and they understand that like this is um, something that I really do care about, but also believe that this is, the right move, the next move for, continuing to grow the game for women's sports. So, um, just understanding, VC language and, just certain business acumen, like that's been its own beast in itself. But as we move forward, I've been doing a really good job of understanding those things. And it's allowed me to, now have these conversations with these angels or larger VCs, to be able to, hopefully get them to invest into the WPBA. So that's one of the challenges, but it's just, slowly but surely being handled as I continue to learn and just lead as a founder and CEO.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned earlier was talking about the players, and obviously they're an integral part of this whole ecosystem. Without them, nothing works. So,
Yeah.
a lot of these women, they had very successful collegiate careers. Maybe for one reason or another, weren't able to make the W, or might not have opportunities overseas. So, talk about how important these players' stories are, and how with the work you all are doing to highlight them and their talents and their abilities on and off the court.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like, again, like the W, unrivaled, even the Project Bs that are coming up, like they're catering to the top 1%,
Yeah.
whereas there's a whole 99% that still needs a place to be able to, show who they are. But again, fans want to be able to see that everyone loves a great underdog story.
Yeah.
So if you're able to be a part of that journey with helping them get to where they're supposed to be, like it just builds that much deeper of a connection. And we're fortunate enough to have, Susan Ansman, sign on as our advisor for the WPBA. And if you know her work, she's the DP for, Court of Gold and Starting Five on Netflix. So being able to really have a bird's eye or just an even closer look at what these players are going through, like it's going to be a great season ahead with Susan advising us on this and really being able to figure out the best way to highlight these players' stories, but to get it out so that everyone has a deeper connection to the players and they're able to relate. But you never know who you're going to be able to impact, because there's so many people out there that I've learned, maybe experiencing the same thing, or similar things to what you are experiencing, but not really too many people are able to talk about it. So we want to be able to talk about those things, especially when it comes around to like mental health and women's health, and
Mhm.
just the journey of what it takes in being a pro athlete. Like I don't think too many people get to see the behind the scenes. They just get to see the finalized product when it gets on the floor.
Mhm. You mentioned some of the struggles that you've had in terms of building and as you said, doing this remotely for a while. What have you learned about yourself as a leader throughout the past 4 years of building this league?
Oh my goodness. I've learned that I've learned that God has given me a beautiful spirit that has allowed me to persevere through whatever challenges have been put in my way, whatever obstacles have been put in my way. I've heard way more no's than I've heard yeses, but again, that's what comes along with having, being in business. But with all of that, you learn something from each of those moments. So it's allowed me to be in a space of constant learning and constant, like giving myself grace, you know. I think that's one of the biggest things, because a lot of the times, like people in these positions, they don't get a chance to be able to do that. But um, really just leaning into that, but also, you know, it shows that I'm meant to do what I'm doing right now. Like I'm in the right place. So very blessed to be in this position. Very blessed for, being able to experience all the, lessons that I've learned along the way. But yeah, it shows that I'm a go-getter, and it shows that, you know, I understand what this is, what this opportunity is, and it's only a matter of time before I get others to be able to see it.
When I hear you talk, the word that comes to mind is purpose, and I feel
Mm.
like you're really walking in your purpose. So when you look at, let's say, the next 10 years or so, or even longer than that, what impact do you want to have on women's basketball and the entire ecosystem? Like, what do you want your legacy to be when it comes to this sport?
Oh my goodness. You've got some great questions. um, I want them to know that I always led with intention, with purpose, with um, understanding that like I'm wanting to make little Fatima proud. Because again, there are young girls out there that if they could see it, they can be it, and I'm wanting to be able to set that example, so that we can have more people that come after me, to be able to really understand, where they're at in this ecosystem, and that their voice matters, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think those are some of the things that I want to be, want my legacy to be remembered for. But also that I was just a good person, first and foremost. Like we tend to lose our integrity when we get into places like this, when things get to the extreme, and I want them to know that my integrity was always at the core of what I'm doing. And yeah, I'm just wanting to make sure I'm leaving the game in a better place than how I found it, and I'm doing my part in being able to do that.
that's incredible. And then when you look at um, the same, let's say, the time length for the league, what does success equal? Let's say the next decade or so, but even longer than that, like what would you deem a success for the WPBA and what you all are building?
What I deem as success for us is to be labeled as the leading development league in the world. I want, to have some sort of partnership with the W so that they can see and they can understand that, when they're sourcing talent to be able to get into the W, like they look at us as that, as that league that's going to be able to develop talent for them to get onto that big stage. And just to be able to continue to grow the game. Like, I know beyond basketball, like I want people to know that we're helping our players get set up for success beyond the court. While they're here, we want to make sure that there is an emphasis on financial literacy and health and wellness and professional development, because at some point the game is going to come to a stop. So how can we make sure we're getting them set up for success? So I want to see, more women from this league in C-suite positions after they've, gone through the WPBA. I want to see more women that have been able to become investors, because they've been able to understand, just the financial education, and being able to become that, because they've been able to have that knowledge by being here. So yeah, be on the court, being able to really make sure we're leaving this world in a better space, but also on the court, being able to really, um, you know, tie those pieces together so that people can see that this is the ultimate, or this is the launch pad to helping players, our coaches, our officials being able to get to where they want to be, when they're moving up within their careers.
Fatima, this has been amazing. Appreciate your time. Where can people learn more about you, but also keep up with everything that's happening with the league?
They can follow us on Instagram at Women's PBA, or they can check us out on our website at www.womenspba.com.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Appreciate you.